or go evening is my dreams. I'm so happy to welcome you into this soft, cozy corner of the night. A place where stories whisper their secrets under the gentle veil of darkness, inviting you to unwind, to breathe, and to drift into distant ages long forgotten. Tonight, we will embark on a magnificent journey through time and space, a calm, unhurried exploration of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, along with the 7 new wonders that shape our modern era. These creations of human hands, from the timeless pyramids rising from the desert sands, to shining monuments that still inspire millions today, each of them carries a story of brilliant minds, ancient mysteries, and humanity's eternal desire to build something that outlives us, something immortal. This lecture is designed as a 2-hour, gentle storytelling voyage, so you can settle in comfortably. Close your eyes if you wish, and allow my voice to guide you softly towards sleep, while ruins, domes, gardens, and statues come alive in the quiet theater of your imagination. We will explore each wonder slowly and in detail, its origins, its creation, its myths and legends, its influence on our culture, and the newest scientific insights that help us understand it today. Just imagine a warm desert breeze brushing softly against your face, and the rustle of leaves in the hanging gardens rocking you like a lullaby. Make yourself comfortable. Dim the lights, and let us begin this gentle, magical journey through the wonders of the world. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, the only surviving wonder of the ancient world. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands on the high plateau along the western bank of the Nile. Near modern Cairo, it rises within a vast funerary complex to other great pyramids, those of Khafre and Menkaure, the majestic Sphinx, and dozens of smaller tombs and structures spread across the sacred necropolis of ancient Memphis. This entire area was recognized by UNESCO in 1979 as Memphis and its necropolis. The pyramid fields from Giza to Dasha. The pyramid was built during Egypt's Old Kingdom, specifically during the 4th dynasty, around 2580 to 2560 BCE. It was intended as the eternal resting place for Pharaoh Khufu, the second ruler of the dynasty, known to the Greeks as Cheops. Khufu's reign lasted around 23 to 26 years, a time when Egyptian civilization flourished, when pharaohs were revered as living gods and pyramids were seen as stairways leading the soul toward eternal life. Why a pyramid? In Egyptian belief, the pyramid's shape symbolized the descending rays of the sun, or the sacred Mound of Benben, the first land to emerge at the creation of the world. The pyramid was part of a larger funerary landscape, a mortuary temple for rituals, a valley temple near the Nile for mummification rites, and a long causeway connecting them. Around it were mastabas low, flat tombs for nobles, including that of Khufu's mother, Queen Hetepheres. Her burial was discovered in 1925 in a hidden shaft nearby, furnished with exquisite jewelry, gold, furniture, and even an empty alabaster sarcophagus, suggesting her original tomb had once been robbed and her remains moved for safety. Now, let us pause for a moment and imagine the scale of the Great Pyramid, because even today it feels almost impossible. Originally, it stood 146.6 meters tall, higher than any medieval cathedral and the tallest human-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years, until the construction of Lincoln Cathedral in England around 1300 CE today. With its outer casing long gone, its height is about 138.5 meters. Its base is a perfect square, 230.3 meters on each side, covering more than 5 hectares, the size of about 10 football fields. Its volume is 2.6 million cubic meters, and its weight an astonishing 6 million tons. The pyramid consists of about 2.3 million stone blocks, most weighing around 2.5 tons each, while some granite blocks inside the king's chamber weigh up to 80 tons. If you were to dismantle the pyramid and lay every stone in a single line, that line would stretch around 2/3 of Earth's equator, nearly 25,000 kilometers. The materials came from many places. The main limestone blocks from nearby Giza quarries, filled with fossils from an ancient seabed, reminding us that this desert was once covered by water. The gleaming white casing stones came from Tura, across the Nile, polished so brightly that the pyramid shone like a massive crystal visible from miles away. Granite for the inner chambers came from Aswan, more than 900 kilometers upriver. Transporting such gigantic stones was a feat that still amazes engineers today. Perhaps these immense stone blocks were once floated gently along the Nile during the great floods, carried on wooden barges that swayed softly with the current. And once they reached the riverbank, they were pulled across the sands on wooden sledges, workers pouring water to keep the sand smooth, so the stones would glide with quiet ease. The construction of the Great Pyramid was the absolute pinnacle of ancient Egyptian engineering. According to the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, who visited Egypt in the 5th century BCE, the pyramid took 20 years to build and required the labor of 100,000 men. But modern archaeologists, supported by excavation evidence, gently revise these numbers. They say that the permanent workforce was closer to 20,000 craftsmen, and during peak seasons, perhaps 40,000. And these workers were not slaves, as many once believed. They were skilled artisans and farmers who came to work during the annual flood season, when their fields lay underwater. Their presence is recorded in the ruins of the workers' village near Giza, where archaeologists found bakeries, breweries, medical facilities, and even cemeteries with tombs proudly carved with the names of work crews. Teams like the Friends of Khufu or the Drunkards of Menkaure in 2013. An astonishing discovery was made: the Diary of Mira, a papyrus from Wadi Oljaf dating to the 27th year of Khufu's reign. It describes how limestone was transported from Tura on barges under the command of an official named Mira, his. Notes reveal a remarkably organized system. The stone could be delivered in just 4 days, and the workers were paid in bread, beer, and meat. How exactly was the pyramid built? There are many theories. The main one suggests the use of ramps, long straight ramps, zigzagging ramps along the sides, or large spiral ramps wrapping around the pyramid's growing body. In 2018, in the Hatnab quarry, researchers discovered a ramp system with stairways and wooden posts for ropes, allowing workers to pull stone blocks up steep inclines of about 20 degrees. Other ideas include levers, wooden rollers, or even water channels, perhaps used to transport materials closer to the construction site. The blocks themselves were cut using copper saws with abrasive sand, and then fitted with extraordinary precision using water and sand for polishing. The Great Pyramid is aligned to the cardinal points with astonishing accuracy and error of only 3 minutes and 38 seconds of arc. Such precision may have been achieved using astronomical observations, the shadow of a gnomon, or the stars themselves, like the early pole star. Inside, the pyramid feels like a silent labyrinth of ancient mysteries. The entrance lies on the northern face, 18 meters above ground. It opens into a descending passageway 105 meters long, sloping downward at 26 degrees, carved deep into the bedrock. From it branches an ascending corridor leading to the grand Galleria, breathtaking slanted hall, 47 meters long to meters wide, and 8.6 meters tall, with tiered ceilings that rise like quiet stone waves above the traveler. From the gallery, one enters the king's chamber, a solemn granite room measuring 10.5 by 5.2 meters. It contains a massive granite sarcophagus empty. The mummy of Khufu was never found. Perhaps stolen in antiquity, or perhaps never placed there at all. Above this chamber are 5 relieving rooms designed to distribute the immense weight of the pyramid. Inside them, archaeologists found quarry marks bearing Khufu's name-compelling proof of his authorship. Below lies the Queen's chamber, 5.7 by 5.2 meters, with a mysterious niche meant for a statue and 2 narrow shafts rising at an angle. Discovered in 1872, these shafts were once thought to be vents. But today, many believe they had ritual purposes aligned with stars like Sirius. Sacred Doisis and Rhine's belt, associated with a zoiry, gained the king's soul toward the heavens. Even deeper rests the unfinished subterranean chamber. Carved into the bedrock, 30 meters below ground, perhaps part of an abandoned original plan. Connecting these levels is a narrow shaft known as the well, which legends say was used by ancient tomb robbers. In 1954, archaeologists made another extraordinary discovery, the solar boat of Khufu, 43.6-meter wooden vessel crafted from cedar, found disassembled into 1,220 for pieces in a pit south of the pyramid. This sacred boat symbolized the pharaoh's journey through the afterlife. It is now preserved in the Grand Egyptian Museum. A second boat was found in 1987, still resting quietly in its pit. Myths and legends swirl around the pyramid like ancient desert winds. The Greeks believed it was built by slaves, but evidence has shown that the workers were free people, proud of their craft. Some esoteric thinkers claim that the pyramid encodes sacred knowledge, that the ratio of its perimeter to its height equals to pi, or that its proportions reflect the golden ratio, though scholars debate whether these measurements were intentional. Other theories propose that the pyramid served as an observatory, or even as a source of mysterious energy. But no scientific proof supports these ideas. Medieval Arab legends tell of treasures within mummies, star maps, ancient scrolls. Yet, when Caliph Ulman tunneled into the pyramid in the 9th century, he found only the empty sarcophagus. Modern research continues to deepen the mystery. The Scan Pyramids project, launched in 2015, uses muon tomography cosmic particles that pass through stone to peer into the pyramid without harming it. In 2017, scientists detected a great void above the Grand Galleria, hidden cavity at least 30 meters long and 8 meters wide, perhaps another chamber. perhaps part of the internal architecture. Its true purpose remains unknown. And so the Great Pyramid still stands, in silence, in majesty, holding secrets it has guarded for more than 4,000 years. In 2023, researchers revealed a hidden passage on the northern side of the Great Pyramid. A horizontal corredor não facile. Perhaps it was built to redistribute the weight above it. Hors pérap. It was meant to conceal something far more mysterious. There may be yet another space, still untouched, still waiting, and then came the discoveries of 2025. Discoveries that sent ripples across the world. Using ground-penetrating radar, satellite-based synthetic aperture radar and seismic vibrations. Scientists detected a vast underground complex beneath the Giza Plateau. A joint team from Italy and Scotland, including Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi, announced the presence of monumental structures reaching depths of up to 600 meters, twice the height of the Eiffel Tower, stretching across almost 2 kilometers. They described 8 vertical cylindrical shafts, each descending about 640 meters into the earth, surrounded by spiral pathways that curve downward into the deep silence below. These paths, they said, appear to lead toward 2 cubic structures, each with sides measuring 76 meters, and 5 multi-level buildings connected by long corridors. The cylindrical shafts seem to be aligned under each of the 3 pyramids, perhaps as entrances, or perhaps as something symbolic, something ceremonial. Some sources called this discovery an underground city with a perfectly symmetrical layout. But the claim remains controversial. Egyptian officials, including Zahi Hawass, dismissed the findings as unreviewed and overstated, reminding the world that radar has serious limits at such extraordinary depths. Others, however, see hints of something else entirely, possibly the remains of an ancient branch of the Nile that once flowed beneath Giza, or even fragments of a long-forgotten energy system lost to time. The research continues, but excavations require permissions that are difficult to obtain. The influence of the Great Pyramid on human culture is immeasurable. It inspired Napoleon in 1798, who famously declared to his soldiers, 40 centuries look down upon you. It appears in films, novels from Indiana Jones to countless conspiracy theories. Today, it remains Egypt's most visited landmark, drawing millions each year. And yet, it suffers from erosion and pollution, the slow breath of time pressing against it. Archaeologists like Mark Lehner continue to explore the lost city of the workers. In 2020, a lost fragment of the Pyramid S original casing stones was rediscovered in the Aberdeen Museum, dated between 3341 and 3094 BCE. It may have been repurposed long ago, carried far from its ancient home. The Great Pyramid reminds us of the brilliance of the human spirit. How 4,500 years ago, people crafted a monument that has outlived kingdoms and empires. Khufu's pyramid remains not only a triumph of engineering, but a timeless testament to humanity's longing for immortality. Its mysteries continue to unfold, whispering inspiration to new generations of scholars and dreamers. And now, we gently close the chapter on the first wonder of the ancient world, Adrefli and to the next. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, a legendary oasis in the sky. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis, one of the most romantic and enigmatic wonders of the ancient world, are forever associated with the ancient city of Babylon in Mesopotamia, in the land we now call Iraq. This wonder is believed to date back to the 6th century BCE, during the golden age of the Neo-Babylonian Empire under the rule of King Nebuchadnezzar II, who reigned from 605 to 560 to BCE. Nebuchadnezzar, known as both a conqueror and a master builder, transformed Babylon into one of the most magnificent cities of its era, adorned with massive walls, towering ziggurats, and sprawling palaces. According to legend, he created the Hanging Gardens for his wife, Amethyst, the Median princess who longed for the green hills and forests of her mountainous homeland. And so, in the dry, dusty landscape of Mesopotamia, where the Tigris and Euphrates brought precious life, such a garden would have appeared like a miracle, an artificial paradise lifted high into the air. The name Hanging Gardens of Semiramis comes from Greek tradition. Semiramis was a legendary Assyrian queen, Shemuramat, who lived in the 9th century BCE, but historians believe the Greeks confused her story with that of Amethyst, or simply attached the wonder to a more famous figure. Descriptions of the gardens come to us mostly from Greek and Roman writers, since Babylonian sources make no mention of them, a mystery in itself. The first known reference comes from Antipater of Sidon in the 2nd century BCE. More detailed accounts were recorded by Berossus, a Babylonian priest of the 3rd century BCE, quoted later by Josephus, by Strabo in the 1st century BCE, by Diodorus Siculus in the 1st century BCE, and by Quintus Curtius Rufus in the 1st century CE. They describe the gardens as a multi-tiered structure, rising like an artificial mountain terraces climbing up to 25 meters in height, like a 7-story building of living greenery. Each terrace was supported by vaulted arches and brick columns, and on top, a thick layer of soil 3 to 4 meters deep allowed even large trees to take root and flourish. Imagine this: a lower level an immense platform, perhaps 120 by 120 meters, shimmering with fountains and quiet pools fed by the waters of the Euphrates. Above it, smaller terraces rise gently, each one planted with exotic greenery. Palms swaying softly, tall cypresses stretching toward the warm sky, fig trees bending under their sweet fruit, roses, lilac, and entire orchards whispering in the breeze. They were called hanging not because they floated, but because the plants spilled over the edges of the terraces like cascading curtains of leaves, giving the illusion of a drifting, airborne forest. To keep the water from seeping through the structures, the ancient builders coated the terraces with layers of bitumen, natural asphalt from Mesopotamia, then sealed them with sheets of lead and woven reed mats. This was some of the most advanced waterproofing technology of its time. The gardens were likely integrated into the royal palace itself, and perhaps even connected to the great ziggurat Etemenanke, the legendary inspiration for the biblical Tower of Babel. Together, they would have formed a breathtaking symbol of divine authority and earthly splendor. But the irrigation system may have been the most wondrous achievement of all. The water of the Euphrates was lifted up to the highest levels using ingenious mechanical devices. Archimedean screws, spiral pumps, chain-driven bucket lifts, or great water wheels turned by slaves, animals, or perhaps even by the steady Mesopotamian winds. Strabo tells us that the water then flowed downward in cool cascades, refreshing the air and bringing moisture into the burning heat of the region. The daily volume of water required to sustain such a paradise may have reached thousands of liters, a monumental feat in a land where rainfall is scarce, and summer temperatures climb beyond 40 degrees. Construction likely took many years and demanded the labor of thousands of brickmakers. Stonemasons, engineers, and gardeners from across the empire. Seeds and saplings arrived from Persia, India, even from distant Egypt. The bricks for the terraces were fired in enormous kilns, while the plants were carefully adapted to the climatean early form of what we might now call hydroponics. But here lies the heart of the mystery. Did the gardens truly exist? Archaeological evidence remains frustratingly unclear. The German archaeologist Robert Koldewey, who excavated Babylon from 1899 to 1917 under the Deutsche Orientgesellschaft, uncovered massive walls. The famed Ishtar Gatit's blue-glazed bricks now displayed in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin and the ruins of Nebuchadnezzar's palace. He identified a vaulted underground room with water channels as a possible base of the gardens. Yet, no remains of terraces or plant roots were ever found there. Later, excavations in the 1930s and 1950s by Iraqi archaeologists, and studies in the 1980s during Saddam Hussein's controversial attempts to rebuild. Babylon also failed to provide solid proof. Between 2003 and 2011, after the Iraq conflict, international teams, including UNESCO, inspected the site again, but much was damaged by war and looting. And so, alternative theories grew stronger. In 2013, British Assyriologist Stephanie Daly of Oxford University proposed that the gardens were not in Babylon at all, but in Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, built by King Sennacherib, who ruled from 705 to 681 BCE. Her argument draws on Assyrian reliefs from Nineveh. Now, in the British Museum, scenes of multi-level gardens, aqueducts, tall trees, and even exotic animals wandering between terraces. Sennacherib boasted in inscriptions, "I created gardens like the mountains of Amanus, planting all kinds of trees." He built a 150-kilometer aqueduct from Jerwan using stone arches, a technology that predates Roman engineering. Daly believes the Greeks, who conquered the region under Alexander the Great, confused Nineveh with Babylon and Semiramis with an Assyrian queen. This theory is supported by the study of cuneiform tablets. Assyrian texts mention hanging gardens, Bidakku, while Babylonian records do not. Recent studies deepened the mystery even further. In 2023, a team from Tel Aviv University and the Iraq Museum used satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar to examine the ruins of Nineveh near modern Mosul. Beneath layers of earth, they found traces of ancient canals and step terraces. They believe the gardens may have covered as much as 300 hectares, with artificial lakes and watercourses. In 2024, a paper in the Journal of Near Eastern Studies argued that the word hanging was a mistranslation. The Akkadian term musalu actually means terraced, not suspended. And in early 2025, a study published in All About History by Cambridge university, researchers analysed newly translated cuneiform tablets from the British Museum. Dated to the 7th century BCE, their conclusion, the gardens likely stood in Nineveh, forming part of Sennacherib's vast botanical complex. Based on 3D modeling and climate analysis, the study suggests that the gardens contained rare plants from conquered Lanza, living exhibition of imperial power, beauty, and ambition. However, Egyptologists and Mesopotamian scholars, people like Zahi Hawass and Irving Finkel, still disagree. They argue softly, yet firmly, without direct excavations in Mosul. Where conflicts continue to flare up even today, all of this remains only a hypothesis, a whisper of possibility rather than a proven truth. And if the gardens truly stood in Babylon, then their fate was a sorrowful one. After the city fell to the Persians in 539 BCE, Cyrus the Great preserved its structures, letting them breathe for a little longer beneath the Mesopotamian sun. Later, in 331 BCE, Alexander the Great dreamed of restoring the gardens, but his death ended that dream before it could take root. Earthquakes in the 2nd century BCE, erosion from the restless Euphrates, and centuries of neglect during the Parthian era may have swallowed the gardens completely. By the time of Diodorus, in the 1st century CE, only ruins remained, pale shadows of their former splendor. If the gardens were instead in Nineveh, then their end was even more dramatic. The city was razed by Ashurbanipal in 612 BCE, and whatever remained slipped silently beneath the earth. Hidden under modern Mosul, the myths surrounding the gardens shimmer with poetry. To many, they symbolized Eden, the paradise described in the Bible, perhaps inspired by their memory, especially since Babylon is closely associated with the Babylonian exile of the Jewish people. In Persian tradition, the idea of paradise enclosed. Sacred Garden may have evolved from the same roots. Legends of Semiramis, portrayed as a warrior queen and a great builder, brought yet more romance to the story. Some tales claim she ruled for 42 years, conquering India and Egypt along the way. Through medieval Europe, artists painted the hanging gardens in illuminated manuscripts as emblems of luxury. During the Enlightenment, scholars admired them as miracles of early engineering. Their influence stretches across the world, from the terraced gardens of Louis XIV in Versailles to the modern hanging gardens of Singapore, the glowing Supertree Grove. Cinema embraced them too. In 1916, D.W. Griffith recreated them in Intolerance, designing vast sets that rose like dreamscapes. Literature paid homage as well, from Byron's verses to modern fantasy worlds. Today, the gardens live again through virtual reconstructions. In 2022, a UNESCO project used VR to recreate how they might have looked, with softly cascading waterfalls, birdsong, and a 360-degree view of terraced greenery. Tourists now visit the partially restored ruins of Babylon, but the true search continues in Nineveh, where ISIS destroyed many artifacts between 2014 and 2017. Yet restoration efforts have begun, slow, careful, hopeful. In 2025, a new expedition is planned. Drones, underground scanners, and AI analysis will sweep the land in search of buried structures. Perhaps they will find something. Perhaps only silence. But either way, the legend lives on. The Hanging Gardens of Semiramis remind us that history and myth are always intertwined, like roots beneath ancient soil. They symbolize humanity's dream of creating a paradise on earth. Whether they stood in Babylon or in Nineveh, their image endures, a quiet hymn to human creativity and our eternal longing for beauty. And now, gently, seamlessly, we move to the next wonder of the ancient world, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, the greatest temple of ancient Greece. Let us drift now to ancient Ionia, along the warm shores of the Aegean Sea, where once stood the Temple of Artemis, a sacred marvel that rose above the thriving city of Ephesus. This temple, built around 550 BCE, was dedicated to Artemis, goddess of the hunt, the moon, and fertility. It was considered one of the most magnificent achievements of Greek architecture. Ephesus, located in what is now western Turkey, near the modern town of Selçuk, was a vital crossroads of trade between Asia and Europe. The temple became its heart, drawing pilgrims from all across the Mediterranean. Commissioned by the wealthy Lydian king Croesus, and designed by the architects Chersiphron and Metagenes from Knossos, roughly 1/20 Tobildes grand scale. It was not merely a sanctuary, but a symbol of devotion, power, and prosperity. The temple was a diptral structure, meaning it had a double row of columns around its inner chamber. Its dimensions were astonishing: 115 meters long, 55 meters wide, with 127 columns, each 18 meters tall, carved from marble and adorned with sculpted bases and capitals. Many of the columns were gifts from rulers across the Greek world, making the temple a collective masterpiece. Inside stood a statue of Artemis crafted in chryselephantine style, a blend of gold and ivory, featuring multiple breasts, symbolizing fertility. Some historians suggest they might represent nuts or be eggs instead. The goddess was accompanied by deer and bees, emphasizing her deep connection to nature. Beyond its spiritual role, the temple was an economic center. It functioned as a bank, storing treasures and offering sanctuary due to its status as an asylum. Pliny the Elder described it in his Natural History as the most wondrous creation of human hands. And Antipater of Sidon included it among the 7 wonders for its breathtaking beauty. The construction itself was a remarkable feat. Marble was quarried from Mount Pion and transported using wooden rollers, sledges, and the tireless strength of slaves and skilled laborers. The foundation of the temple was laid upon soft, marschgrunde decision that, yet it was a stroke of ancient brilliance. The architects believed that the yielding soil would help absorb shocks during earthquakes. As Vitruvius later wrote in his 10 books on architecture, they place layers of charcoal and wool beneath the base, allowing the earth to breathe, settle, and move gently without destroying the structure. The massive columns were raised using long earthen ramps and ingenious lever systems, each movement slow and deliberate, as though the stones themselves were awakening. The friezes that crowned the temple were carved with scenes from the sacred myths of Artemis, her birth on the island of Delos, her moonlit hunts, and the tragic tale of Actaeon, who gazed upon the goddess and paid with his life. The temple was adorned with paintings by great masters like Apelles, and sculptures by Praxiteles, turning the sanctuary into a living museum of art. Yet its destiny was a tragic one. In 356 BC, Temple of Flame, set alight by Herostratus, who sought to immortalize his own name through destruction. Legend whispers that on that very night, Alexander the Great was born. Artemis, preoccupied with his birth, could not guard her sacred home. Years later, Alexander offered to rebuild the temple, but people of Issa, saying softly, "It is not right for one god to build a temple for another, the new temple." Constructed in the 4th century BCE by the architect Dinocrates, rose even more magnificent than before. It stood upon a platform 2.7 meters high, with 117 columns, some gifted by Alexander himself. It endured until 260 CE, when Gothic invaders plundered the sanctuary. Earthquakes and floods from the nearby river Cayster finished what the invaders began. And in the 5th century, Emperor Theodosius I banned pagan worship, leaving the temple without purpose. Its stones were later repurposed to build Christian structures, including the Grand Hagia Sophia in Constantinople. Archaeological excavations began only in the 19th century. In 1863, John Turtlewood, funded by the British Museum, began searching for the temple based on Pliny's descriptions. After 6 long years, in 1870, he finally uncovered its foundations, buried beneath 6 meters of marshland. Fragments of columns, reliefs depicting Amazons and griffins, and pieces of the frieze were unearthed. Today, many of these treasures rest in the British Museum and the Ephesus Museum. The myths of the temple are steeped in drama. In Ephesus, Artemis was associated with Cybele, the Anatolian mother goddess, and her worship involved ecstatic rites of fertility. Eunuch priests, known as megabizoi, served her. Legends tell that the Amazons themselves founded the temple and hid their treasures within its sacred grounds. In the New Testament, the Acts of the Apostles describe the uproar of Ephesus silversmiths, who feared that Paul's teachings would ruin their trade in Artemis figurines. The temple's architectural style echoed across the ancient world. It inspired elements of the Parthenon and later Roman temples. Including the Temple of Venus in Rome, artists through the centuries, from Rubens to filmmakers, portrayed it as a symbol of Greece's lost splendor. Modern research continues to uncover its secrets. Excavations by an Austrian team, ongoing since 1895, now focus on underground structures. In 2023, new reliefs depicting Artemis as a huntress were found, dating to the 4th century BCE in January 2025. Turkish archaeologists announced major discoveries in western Turkey, including additional foundation fragments hidden beneath the earth. By May 2025, renewed excavations revealed more about underground tunnels, perhaps used for rituals or to hide sacred treasures. Instagram posts from July 2025 showed archaeologists uncovering long-buried columns, revealing intricate carvings once hidden beneath soil and time. Blogs like The Archaeology of Artemis, writing in June 2025, discussed how these finds deepen our understanding of the goddess's cultural impact. With newly discovered altars, figurines, and ritual objects, with the help of ground-penetrating radar and high-resolution 3D scanning, researchers are now able to recreate the temple virtually, allowing anyone to step inside its ancient beauty. Today, only a single reconstructed column stands on a marshy plain. The UNESCO site draws millions of visitors each year, and the Ephesus Museum preserves the artifacts that once adorned the sanctuary. Miniature reconstructions and digital models breathe life into the temple's memory, helping us envision what once rose proudly above the ancient world. The Temple of Artemis reminds us of the fragility of human creation, from the fire of Herostratus to the quiet erosion of centuries. It remains a symbol of harmony between art, devotion, and engineering, an eternal testament to Greek genius. Its quiet ruins whisper stories of gods and mortals, inviting us to pause, to breathe, and to reflect on the wonders that time has carried away. And now, gently, we move to the next wonder. ***, the statue of Zeus at Olympia, the throne of the King of Gods ***. Now our journey carries us to the sacred Valley of Olympia. In the western Peloponnese of Greece, a serene landscape where the monumental statue of Zeus once stood. Crafted forth by the legendary sculptor Phidias, this wonder was far more than a sculpture. It was a manifestation of divine power and human brilliance, placed at the very heart of the Temple of Zeus, built in the 5th century BCE. She was crafted in the breathtaking chryselephantine technique, a method so delicate, so intimate, that it seemed almost to breathe life into the divine. A hidden wooden frame, warm and silent, like the heart of a sleeping forest, was layered with ivory plates for the skin, and shimmering gold for the garments and sacred ornaments. Together, they created the gentle illusion of a living god resting in eternal stillness. In Zeus's right hand, he held a statue of Nike, the goddess of victory, nearly 2 meters tall, as if she were softly descending to offer triumph to mankind. And in his left hand rested a scepter, crowned with an eagle, the quiet symbol of his celestial authority. The throne itself was a world of wonder. Fashioned from cedar wood, fragrant and ancient, it was inlaid with ebony, gold, ivory, and sparkling gemstones. Its reliefs whispered scenes from myth, the birth of Aphrodite, the fierce battle of the Lapiths and the Centaurs, and the heroic labors of Heracles and Theseus. Its legs were guarded by sphinx, while the back of the throne blossomed with the figures of graces and mountain spirits. Phidias, the master sculptor, worked on the statue in a dedicated workshop near the temple, a quiet sanctuary where archaeologists would one day uncover casting molds and tools, still carrying the silent memory of his hands. To deepen the illusion of divine majesty, the floor before the statue was paved with dark marble and filled with olive oil. The surface glowed softly, reflecting the golden light and protecting the ivory from drying in the summer heat. The Temple of Zeus had been built before the statue itself, between 470 and 456 BCE, from local limestone with marble pediments depicting the myths of Pelops and the eternal struggle between Lapiths and Centaurs. Architect Liban of Elis designed it in the Doric style, 6 columns at the front, 13 along the sides, towering 10.4 meters high. The metopes displayed the 12 labors of Heracles, their stories frozen in stone. The temple stood in the heart of Altis, the sacred grove of Olympia, enclosed by a protective wall. Around it lay altars, city-state treasuries, and a stadium that once held 40,000 spectators. Phidias, already renowned for his statue of Athena in the Parthenon, spent nearly 8 years shaping Zeus, using African gold and Indian ivory. According to legend, when he finished, he asked Zeus if he approved, and a bolt of lightning struck the floor, as if answering with divine approval. The statue survived many earthquakes thanks to ancient, shock-absorbing foundations. But in the 5th century CE it was transported to Constantinople on the order of Emperor Theodosius II. There, in the palace of Lausus, it perished in a fire. In 475 CE its fate remains wrapped in mystery. Some sources, like George Kedranos, claimed the statue was destroyed earlier in a fire in Olympia in 425 CE. Yet, most historians believe in the Constantinople version. No physical remnants survive. Only echoes, images on coins, on carved gems, and in Roman statues of Jupiter, who borrowed Zeus's pose and majesty. Archaeological excavations in Olympia began in the 19th century. In 1829, a French expedition uncovered fragments of the metopes, and between 1875 and 1881, German archaeologists under Ernst Curtius excavated the entire temple. They found Phidias's workshop with ivory molds, tools, and even a cup inscribed with the words "I belong to Phidias," confirming its authenticity. In the 20th century, Greek archaeologists continued the work, opening the stadium and palaestra. In recent years, the focus has shifted to preservation. In 2004, before the Athens Olympics, parts of the temple were restored. In the 2010s, laser scanning created precise 3D models. Myths surrounding the statue only deepened its charm. Zeus was considered the father of the Olympic Games, and athletes offered sacrifices before competing, believing the god watched over them. Pausanias wrote that the statue inspired such awe that visitors wept upon seeing it. In Roman times, Emperor Caligula attempted to move the statue to Rome, but the scaffolding collapsed, and legend says the statue itself laughed. Its influence on culture is immense, from Roman Jupiters to medieval depictions of God the Father, and even inspiring modern monuments like Abraham Lincoln's Memorial in Washington, D.C., or Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro. In art, from Rubens' sketches to modern films, Zeus remains a symbol of power and timeless majesty. The Olympic Games were revived in 1896, and the flame is still lit in Olympia, near the ruins of his temple. Research continues even now. Olympia became a UNESCO site in 1989, and excavations remain active. In 2023, new bronze figurines of athletes were discovered in the sanctuary, and in 2025, new finds emerged. In July 2025, archaeologists uncovered marble relief fragments from the Temple of Zeus, possibly pieces of the pediment depicting the myth of Pelops. These discoveries shed new light on the temple's decoration and on the artistry of Phidias. In March 2025, a monumental tomb was found nearby, containing golden artifacts, including a ring bearing Apollo, perhaps linked to the cult of Zeus, in June 2025. Renewed excavations revealed bronze ruins and ancient altars, deepening our understanding of the sanctuary's sacred landscape. Using ground-penetrating radar and gentle drones drifting above the Earth, scientists continue to explore hidden underground structures, perhaps ancient workshops, or long-lost altars where pilgrims once whispered their prayers to the king of the gods. The site is visited by millions of travelers each year. A quiet flow of footsteps moving through the museum that now shelters the ancient pediments and metopes. The statue of Zeus at Olympia remains a gentle hymn to the divine woven into human hands, a reminder of harmony, of inspiration, of the spirit of competition that once brought the ancient world together. Even though the statue itself is lost, the ruins of Olympia still breathe softly, still filling visitors with wonder. And now, we slowly close this chapter about the fourth wonder of the ancient world and turn to the next, the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus, the tomb of eternal love, let us drift now to ancient Caria. Along the warm, sunlit southwestern coast of what is today Turkey, in the old city of Halicarnassus, known today as Bodrum, there once stood the mausoleum, a magnificent tomb built between 353 and 350 BCE. This wonder was created in memory of King Marcellus, satrap of the Persian Empire, and his sister wife Artemisia II, who commissioned the monument after his death, transforming it into a symbol of eternal love and mourning, carved not only in stone, but in devotion. Halicarnassus was a thriving port city founded by the Dorians, home to about 10 to 20,000 people, where Greek, Persian, and Carian cultures intertwined like gentle threads. Marcellus, who ruled Caria from 377 to 353 BCE, strengthened the region by moving the capital to Halicarnassus, building powerful walls, a theater, and a palace, turning the city into a glowing center of Hellenistic influence in Asia. Antipater of Sidon included the mausoleum among the seven wonders for its beauty and scale, and the very word mausoleum became synonymous with grand, monumental tombs. But the mausoleum was more than a tomb. It was an architectural symphony, blending Greek elegance, Lycian tradition, and Persian majesty. About 45 meters tall, like a modern 15-story building, it stood on a platform measuring 38 by 32 meters, crowned with a pyramidal roof and a marble quadriga, a four-horse chariot carrying Marcellus and Artemisia into eternity. The lower level was a podium adorned with friezes showing the battles of Greeks and Amazons, and the struggles between Lapiths and Centaur, symbolic stories of civilization triumphing over chaos. The middle tier was encircled by 36 Ionic columns, each 12 meters tall. Between them, two statues of lions called by Master Skopas, Leochares, Bryaxis, and Timotheus, each responsible for one side of the monument, each leaving a unique artistic breath. Above them rose the apatera pyramiduit, 20 for steps leading toward Shining Quadriget. Inside, the burial chamber held the sarcophagi of Marcellus and Artemisia, surrounded by altars and gardens that softened the air with their fragrance. Pliny the Elder described the structure as suspended in the air, reflecting the delicate, floating grace of its design. The construction was overseen by architects Satyrus and Pythias, using marble from local quarries and imported stone. Workers, including Greek master craftsmen, labored for years. Artemisia, who ruled after her husband's death, passed away only 2 years later, never seeing the work completed. Yet, the builders finished it in her honor, fulfilling her devotion. The mausoleum survived the conquest of Alexander the Great in 330 for BCE. He admired it and left it untouched. It endured for 16 centuries, standing against sieges and earthquakes until the 13th century, when a violent earthquake damaged the pyramid. In 1494, the Knights Hospitaller, building the Bodrum Castle, reused the mausoleum's stones for fortifications, dismantling much of the structure. A legend recorded by Claude Guichard in the 16th century tells that the knights discovered the sarcophagi, but left them overnight and, by morning, they had been plundered. Archaeological excavations began in the 19th century. In 1856, Charles Thomas Newton of the British Museum, guided by Vitruvius's descriptions, discovered the foundation and numerous fragments. He unearthed the friezes of the Amazonomochi. Statues of Mausolus and Artemisia now kept in the British Museum and pieces of the marble quadriga. In the 20th century, Turkish archaeologists continued the work, uncovering underground chambers and additional reliefs. Today, the site is an open-air museum preserving the foundation, models, and fragments recognized by UNESCO as part of Bodrum's cultural heritage. The myths surrounding the mausoleum are full of romance. Artemisia is said to have mixed her husband's ashes into wine and drank it, becoming his living tomb, a symbol of their unbreakable bond. Mausolus, the son of Hecatomnus, strengthened Caria's independence from Persia, and his tomb influenced the design of the Taj Mahal and even Grant S. Memorial in New York. In literature from Pliny to modern novels, he remains a symbol of eternal memory, of love that refuses to fade. Modern research has breathed new life into the site. Excavations in Bodrum continue, focusing on the hidden structures beneath the earth. In 2023, new reliefs depicting battles dated to the 4th century BCE were uncovered. In 2025, Turkish archaeologists announced significant discoveries across western Turkey, including fragments in Bodrum that may be linked to the mausoleum itself. Studies of the tomb of Hecatomnus in Milas, the predecessor of the mausoleum originally unearthed in 2010, are still underway. New finds in 2025, including frescoes and sarcophagi, continue to enrich our understanding of the Carian dynasty. And in June of 2025, fresh analysis in Milas revealed even more about the tomb's decoration, golden ornaments, delicate reliefs, all possibly connected to Mausolus and his lineage. Using 3D scanning and ground-penetrating radar, researchers are now reconstructing the mausoleum virtually, making it accessible to the world once again, even if only through light and pixels. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus remains a monument to love reaching across centuries, reminding us how death, paradoxically, can inspire humanity's most enduring creations. Its ruins in Grail quietly expound for Glorion Duitis. We gently close the chapter on the fifth wonder of the ancient world and drift onward to the next, the Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus of Rhodes. Now, we sail toward the island of Rhodes in the soft blue of the Aegean Sea, where, at the entrance to the harbour, once stood the Colossus of Rhodes, a towering bronze statue of Helios, the radiant god of the sun. This wonder, built between 292 and to 80 BCE, was crafted by chairs of lindows in honor of Rhodes' victory over the siege of Demetrius Poliorcetes, the Macedonian general, in 305 to 304 BCE. Rhodes, a flourishing trade island with a population of about 60,000, was renowned for its shipbuilders and mariners. Its three great cities, Lindos, Camiros, and Ialissos, had united into a powerful federation. The Colossus symbolized freedom, and Helios divine protection. Philo of Byzantium called it the greatest creation ever cast in bronze, while Pliny the Elder marveled that few men could clasp the statue's thumb with both hands, emphasizing its immense scale. The statue was truly colossal, about 33 meters tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty, without its pedestal. It portrayed Helios standing, crowned with rays of sunlight, holding a torch or perhaps simply gazing into the distance. Some legends claim he stood with his legs apart across the harbor entrance, but modern scholars doubt this. The statue more likely stood on a sturdy pedestal near the water's edge or on a hill overlooking the port. The internal frame was iron, filled with stones to keep it stable, while the surface was made of bronze plates, no thicker than a coin. The construction took 12 years and cost 300 talents of silver funds, raised by selling. Demetrius abandoned siege machines. Chairs used techniques similar to bell casting, bronze melted in massive furnaces, shaped into plates, then fixed onto the iron frame with copper nails. Workers built a huge earthen ramp around the rising statue, later removing it after the completion. The famous image of ships passing between the statue's legs is now considered a myth, but still a beautiful one. The Colossus stood for only 56 years before an earthquake struck. Into 26 BCE, the statue snapped at the knees, collapsing and leaving its fragments scattered across the ground. Strabo wrote that one of its hands was larger than many full statues. The people of Rhodes chose not to rebuild it, following an oracle's warning that restoring the statue would bring misfortune. And so, the fallen Colossus remained for 8 centuries, astonishing travelers who came to see the shattered bronze giant. In 653 CE, Arab forces captured the island and sold the bronze fragments to a Syrian merchant, who reportedly carried them away on the backs of 900 camels. After that, the Colossus vanished from history, leaving behind only echoes, coins, ancient texts, and legend. Archaeological searches began in the 19th century. In 1856, Italian archaeologist Salvatore Bovi found fragments in the harbor, though they turned out to belong to other statues. In the 20th century, Greek and Italian teams excavated the Acropolis of Rhodes, uncovering the Temple of Helios but not the Colossus. Underwater excavations in the 1990s, led by the Greek Ministry of Culture, revealed ancient harbor walls and shipwrecks, but again, no trace of the statue. Some scholars, like Raymond, suggest that the Colossus did not stand in the harbor at all but on the hill of Monty Smith, where a large pedestal was discovered. In 2008, a proposal was made to build a new Colossus as a tourist attraction. But the project was halted due to the financial crisis. The myths surrounding the Colossus are full of grand imagery. The Greeks believed he stood as a guardian, much like the twin colossi of Memnon in Egypt, and the Romans later echoed his form in their statues of emperors. The legend of the Colossus standing with its legs apart first appeared in the Middle Ages, inspiring dreamy illustrations in manuscripts like the Romance of Alexander. This image, fragile, almost mythical, it survived the centuries, becoming a symbol of how imagination can be stronger than stone. And the Colossus, he left a long shadow in culture. The Statue of Liberty itself carries echoes of his form, for both monuments were shaped through the ideas of the same French visionary Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, the grandfather of the man who designed Liberty's final look. In littérature, from shears to modern films like Jason the Argonauts, the Colossus appears again and again. as a reminder of how greatness can rise and how it might one day fall. Today, modern researchers focus gently on one mystery: his true location, his true posture, his true presence. In 2023, Greek archaeologists scanned the harbour of Rhodes with radar, detecting what might be ancient foundations. And in 2025, new discoveries breathed fresh life into the search. In July 2025, historian Bethany Hughes explored these clues in her BBC documentary 7 Wonders of the World, studying coastal terrain with local experts and new surveys. Her findings suggested something intriguing, that the Colossus may not have stood in the harbour at all, but on a nearby hilltop. A quiet vantage point aligned with fresh topographical data. In April 2025, an updated Rhodes travel guide described new discoveries at the Acropolis of Lindos, bronze fragments. Perhaps from the workshop where chairs once shaped his great creation. And though by July 2025 it was confirmed that no verified remains of the statue had yet been found, underwater drone research revealed ancient port structures that may once have held its pedestal. These fragments of truth, studied with AI analysis and 3D reconstruction, help us piece together the silent giant once more, at least in the world of imagination. Today, Rhodes is a gentle paradise, a place of sun-warmed stone and soft sea winds. In its archaeological museum, small models whisper the memory of the Colossus. The remains of the harbour and the Acropolis rest quietly, like old guardians of a vanished age. Plans to rebuild the Colossus come and go, like tides. The Colossus teaches us a tender truth, that triumph and ruin often walk hand in hand, that even giants bow before time. And so, our story of the 6th wonder of the ancient world comes to a peaceful close. And now, softly, almost, we now move on to the next wonder. Now our journey carries us to legendary Alexandria, a city resting on the northern shore of Egypt. A city once filled with scrolls, scholars, and the soft hum of knowledge. Here, on the island of Pharos, stood the lighthouse of Alexandria, the final wonder of the ancient world. Built between 285 and 247 BCE under Ptolemy, the first Soter, and his son Ptolemy, the second Philadelphus. This lighthouse was far more than a guide for sailors. It was a symbol of Hellenistic brilliance, a beacon of the Ptolemaic dynasty that rose after Alexander the Great, Alexandria. Founded in 331 BCE, blossomed into a cosmopolitan center with nearly 500,000 residents. A city where the famed library and the Mausian attracted minds from every corner of the ancient world. The lighthouse, designed by Sostratus of Cnidus, protected sailors from the dangerous reefs and shallows of the Nile Delta, ensuring that ships laden with grain, papyrus, and spices reached the Mediterranean safely. Philo of Byzantium once described the lighthouse as a tower visible from a day's journey away, and Arabic writers like al-Masudi praised it centuries later as a wonder among wonders. The structure rose to an astonishing height, from 120 to 140 meters, taller than many buildings today. Its 3 tiers were built like steps toward the sky. A square base nearly 60 meters high, made of bright stone and reinforced with granite. An octagonal middle section with balconies and sculptures, and a cylindrical upper tower crowned with a shining bronze statue, perhaps Zeus, perhaps Poseidon, or even Helios or Ptolemy himself. At the very top, a flame burned day and night, its glow reflected by polished bronze mirrors visible for almost 50 kilometers across the sea. Some legends claim these mirrors could ignite enemy ships, but this, like so many wonders of antiquity, is likely a myth woven from awe. Construction, 12 years and cost 100 talents of staggering sum. Stone blocks up to 75 tons were lifted into place with ramps and cranes. Sostratus carved a discreet inscription at the base, Sostratus, son of Dexophanes of Cnidus, to the god saviors. For the protection of sailors, the lighthouse stood through centuries, guiding Roman, Byzantine, and Arab ships. But by the 14th century, it had crumbled. And in 1480 the Mamluk, Sultan Qaitbay, reused its stones to build the fortress that still guards the coast today. Underwater remains were first rediscovered in the 1960s by Jacques Cousteau's team, massive statues, collapsed walls, broken columns resting in the quiet depths. In 1994, Jean-Yves Impera and the CNRS began systematic excavations, uncovering thousands of artifacts. Silent pieces of a tower that once lit the world. The myths surrounding the lighthouse are woven from shadows and wonder. Toza Greek is a brilliant creation of the Ptolemy, but in Arab legends, it transformed into a magical tower with mirrors capable of seeing distant Constantinopolis if an eye gazing across sea and time. Some stories whisper that the light of Pharos guided not just ships, but souls, leading them gently into the afterlife like a celestial lantern glowing in the dark. The lighthouse of Alexandria shaped every beacon that came after it, from Roman towers to modern lighthouses, including the one on Pharos Island in Virginia. In art, from Pompeian mosaics to films like Cleopatra, its silhouette embodies enlightenment, navigation, and the quiet certainty of a light that never fades. Modern research has gently awakened the ruins. Underwater excavations in Alexandria's harbor continue year after year, focusing on the broken stones that once held up the ancient wonder. In 2023, new granite blocks were discovered, still carrying faint hieroglyphs. And in 2025, discoveries shook the world. In July, a CNRS team lifted 22 massive blocks from the seafloor for digital reconstruction. Some of them weighed up to 80 tons, raised carefully to create a digital twin of the lighthouse, a living model that shows both its original splendor and the moments of its fall. The project, led by Isabel Harry, blends archaeology and technology, recovering 22 stones out of the previously known 36, along with over 100 underwater scanned fragments. Together, they allow scientists to restore the lighthouse virtually, revealing intimate details of its architecture. Using drones and AI, researchers analyze how earthquakes shattered the tower long ago. Today, the Qaitbay fortress stands exactly where the lighthouse once rose, and beneath it lies a quiet museum of underwater archaeology. Alexandria attracts divers eager to touch the ruins, and VR reconstructions allow us to witness the wonder once more gently, like a dream. The lighthouse remains a symbol of knowledge shining through darkness, a beacon of resilience, a quiet flame that survived the centuries. Enduiti, we gently close chapter of the 7 wonders of the ancient world and step softly into the new wonders of our modern age. The Great Wall of China, the dragon guarding an empire now, my dear listeners. We move to the 7 New Wonders of the World. Chosen in 2007 through a global vote organized by the New Seven Wonders Foundation, with millions of people participating from every corner of the planet. These wonders reflect humanity's modern admiration for creations that endure through centuries and celebrate our diverse cultures. And the first among them is the Great Wall of China, stretching across northern China like a sleeping dragon, a symbol of protection, unity, and the unbreakable spirit of a nation. This wall, built over many ages from the 3rd century BCE to the 17th century CE, is not a single structure, but a vast network of fortifications, towers, and strongholds extending more than 21,000 kilometers, long enough to wrap around the Earth 1.5 times. It winds through mountains, deserts, and rivers, from the East China Sea to the Gobi Desert, standing guard against northern nomadic tribes. The Chinese call it Wanli Chongqing, the Wall of 10,000 Li, a poetic way to express its endlessness. The wall first appeared during the spring and autumn period, around the 8th-5th centuries BCE, when small kingdoms built earth ramparts for defense. But its true grandeur emerged first for Qin Shi Huangdi, who ruled from 221 to 210 BCE. He unified China and linked the scattered walls into one massive system, mobilizing millions of workers, soldiers, peasants, and even convicts. Construction continued under the Han, Sui, Ming, and Qing dynasties, reaching its peak during the Ming era in the 5th and 16th centuries, when brick walls and watchtowers were added. The height of the wall varies from 6 to 9 meters, on 18 for 5 horsemeade. Signal towers were placed every 200 meters to send smoke and fire messages across great distances. Materials included earth, stone, brick, and even lime mixed with sticky rice for extraordinary strength. Incense like Badalin. The wall climbs steep slopes at a 45 angle, a breathtaking display of engineering. The total volume of materials is about 100 million cubic meters, enough to build a 5-meter-high wall around the entire equator. Its construction cost countless lives, lost to hunger, exhaustion, and accidents. Legends speak of the Wall of Tears, where the bones of workers rest beneath the foundations. Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi, also known for his terracotta army, used the wall to strengthen his rule. But it did not always stop invaders. The Mongols under Genghis Khan breached it in the 13th century. During the Ming dynasty, the wall was reinforced with 25,000 towers and strongholds, such as the famous Shanhaiguan, the pass between mountain and sea, and the western fortress of Jiayuguan. Over the centuries, the wall's purpose evolved from defense to regulating trade along the Silk Road, and finally, to becoming one of the world's greatest symbols of history and tourism. The myths surrounding the Great Wall are endless. Some Western legends whisper that the wall can be seen from space. Though NASA gently disproved this from orbit, it is nothing more than a faint, delicate line, invisible to the naked eye, like a thread sewn into the earth. In ancient Chinese tales, they speak of Lady Mengjiang, a woman whose husband perished during construction. It is said that her sorrow, her tears, her grief so deep and pure, caused a section of the wall to crumble. And so the wall became more than stone. It became emotion, memory, a symbol of the dragon, the spirit of China, guarding its people from wandering tribes. Its cultural influence is vast. It has inspired films like The Great Wall with Matt Damon, countless books on Chinese history, and even modern dividing walls from Berlin to the US-Mexico border. UNESCO recognized its importance in 1987, calling it a treasure of human civilization, and still, the wall continues to reveal its secrets. Modern researchers discovered that erosion, tourism, and growing cities slowly eat away at its ancient stones. Only about 8% of the wall remains in truly good condition. In the 2000s, satellites mapped its full length, and in 2023, scientists uncovered hidden sections in Mongolia, stretching quietly beyond the border. Then came 2025, the year of astonishing revelations. In February, archaeologists unearthed the oldest known part of the wall in Shandong province, a 20-kilometer stretch built around 770 BC, 3 centuries earlier than anyone believed. Packed earth reinforced with wooden beams, a glimpse into the earliest engineering dreams of the ancient state of Qi, a study in global times. Confirmed that the wall's origin story must be rewritten. In April, 9 new sections were found in Gansu province, dating back over 2,000 years to the Western Han Dynasty. Stone walls, watchtowers, ancient ceramic fragments. Silent witnesses to forgotten battles. In March, researchers found fortifications older than the Qin wall itself, built 2,800 years ago, with earthen ramparts and trenches carved by early hands. Drones and LiDAR revealed something unusual, a wave-like design shaped to endure wind, sand, and time. Preservation projects in 2025 began using artificial intelligence. And today, sites like Badaling receive over 10 million visitors each year. Restoration continues, though some critics say parts feel almost Disney-like, a polished version of the past. Yet, the wall remains what it has always been, a guardian of memory, a bridge between ages. Its long, winding curves flow like a river through time, and with that, we conclude the story of the first new wonder of the world, and gently we step forward toward the next. Petra, the rose-red city, carved in stone now, let us drift together into the quiet valley of Wadi Musa in Jordan, a place where cliffs glow with hues of rose and ember. And hidden within them lies Petra, the rose-red city carved entirely from stone by the Nabateans, a mysterious people who once ruled the caravan routes across the Arabian deserts. This is the second of the new 7 wonders of the world, chosen by millions of voices in 2007. Petra is not simply ruins, but an entire city concealed within a canyon, a symbol of the harmony between human hands and the natural world, where rock seems to breathe, and stone awakens under the touch of ancient artisans. Known as the Rose-Red City because of the warm tones of its sandstone, Petra was the capital of the Nabatean kingdom from the 2nd century BC to the 1st century AD, home to nearly 30,000 people. The Nabatean people, nomads, masters of trade, guiding caravans of incense, spices, and silk from Arabia to the Mediterranean. Their wealth flowed into stone, into temples, tombs, and towering facades. They built an extraordinary water system, aqueducts, cisterns, and dams that gathered rare rainfall in a desert where only 150 millimeters fall per year. It was their secret, a way to turn dry land into a thriving oasis. Petra stretches across 264 square kilometers, with over 800 monuments carved into cliffs. To reach it, travelers pass through the Sick, a narrow canyon, 1.2 kilometers long, only 3.24 meters wide at some points, its walls rising 80 meters high. It feels like walking through the veins of the earth. A slow, hushed descent into a forgotten world. At the end, the canyon suddenly opens, and there it stands, Alcazna, the treasury. A 40 menos meter tal façade service, possibly as a tomb or temple for King Aretas IV, columns, pediments, and delicate carvings in a Greco-Roman style softened today by wind and time, glowing with a rose-gold shimmer. Beyond it lies the colonnaded street and a vast theatre carved directly into the rock, with room for 8,000 people, a place where gatherings echoed beneath the desert sun. Higher still stand the royal tombs, the palace, the urn, and others carved into the cliffs, their facades inspired by Hellenistic architecture, silent yet magnificent, high above the ancient valley. Beyond, winding past and sun-warmed cliff, stands Adeste, a sacred giant carved into the mountain itself, waiting silently at the end of 800 stone steps that gently pull you upward, as if leading you toward another world. Its vast facade, to 45 meters wide and 50 meters tall, rises like a quiet guardian. Some believe it was a temple, others a royal tomb. Inside, the faint trace of a carved cross suggests that long after the Nabateans, early Christians used this space as a place of prayer and refuge. The Nabateans were masters of water, their invisible art. They built over 200 kilometers of channels, terracotta pipes, and clever dams, gathering precious rain in a land where water slips away like a whisper. Their hydraulic system prevented floods, fed the city, and showed the world that genius can bloom even in the desert. But every city has its twilight. Petra fell in 106 AD, captured by the Romans under Emperor Trajan, and folded into the province of Arabia. Earthquakes in 363 and 551 shattered buildings and temples, and when trade routes shifted like wandering dunes, Petra was forgotten and slowly swallowed by sand and silence by the 7th century. Centuries later, in 1812, a Swiss explorer named Johann Burckhardt, disguised as an Arab traveler, rediscovered the lost city. Archaeology began in 1929. Under British scholars, and in 1958, Jordan took full stewardship of the site. UNESCO welcomed Petra in 1985, and in 2007 the world voted it one of the new 7 wonders. Today, only 15% of this rose-red city has been excavated. Clay vessels, coins, frescoes, all come to light piece by piece, like memories returning after sleep. The myths of Petra shimmer with romance. The Nabateans worshipped Dushara, the god of the mountains, and Alusa, the goddess of fertility. There, rituals took place on high places, where wind carried prayers into the sky. Some legends connect Petra with Moses. The famous Ain, Musa spring, is said to have burst forth when his staff touched the rock. And in our world of stories and screens, Petra shines again. In Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, in games, novels. Documentary, a symbol of lost civilization mystery stone. Modern research continues to uncover secrets. More than 1 million visitors a year tread through the Sick, and erosion slowly eats away the soft rose sandstone. In 2023, LiDAR mapping revealed hidden underground structures. Then came 2025, a year of astonishing discovery. In July, archaeologists uncovered a hidden tomb beneath Al-Khazna, the treasury. Inside were 12 skeletons, fragments of pottery, and delicate Nabatean jewelry from the 1st century BCA, rare find of undisturbed burials revealing ancient rituals. Josh Gates called it an instant discovery in Expedition Unknown. In late 2024, with work continuing into 2025, another team confirmed a tomb containing a cup resembling the legendary Holy Grail, though experts gently warn that this claim may be a bit overstated. Still, the tomb held ancient treasures and human remains carefully studied by researchers from the University of St. Andrews. In April 2025, new petroglyphs and cisterns were found, more proof of Petra's extraordinary water engineering. Drones, LiDAR, and AI now help track erosion and guide preservation efforts. Today, Petra remains a protected UNESCO site, still welcoming over 1 million visitors, yet carefully limiting access to keep the stone safe. At night, candles flicker through the sick, and the city glows softly under a desert sky full of stars. Petra is a whisper from the past, an eternal rose carved in stone, a reminder of harmony between people and nature. And now, with gentle steps, we close the story of the second wonder and drift toward the third. Christ the Redeemer, a monument of faith, hope, and open arms now, dear listener. Let us travel across the ocean to the golden shores of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. There, high above the city, on the summit of Mount Corcovado, stands the statue of Christ the Redeemer, the third of the new 7 wonders of the world. Chosen by millions in 2007, his arms stretch wide across the sky, embracing the city, the sea, the hills, and the distant favelas. A symbol of peace, forgiveness, and unshakable hope. The statue was built between 1922 and 1931, a dream of the Catholic Church and the people of Rio who wished to honor the centenary of Brazil's independence from Portugal. The idea came from a priest, Father Pedro Maria Boss, but the project was realized by Brazilian engineer Heiter da Silva Costa with French sculptor Paul Landowski and Romanian artist Gheorghe Lenida, who crafted the serene face. Funding came from donations. Millions of Brazilians offered coins, notes, jewelry, making the statue a monument created by the people for the people. Standing at 710 meters above sea level, Christ looks over Guanabara Bay, Copacabana's shining beaches, and the sprawling city below. The statue itself is breathtaking, 38 meters tall, with an 8-meter pedestal and arms spreading 28 meters wide. It weighs 1,145 tons. Built from reinforced concrete and covered with a mosaic of soapstone tiles, each tiny piece glued by hand. Inside, there is a service elevator and maintenance stairs, and at the base, a quiet chapel for 150 visitors. Construction was a challenge. Materials had to be carried up the mountain by a small railway, and workers labored on narrow scaffolding, held in place only by courage and the wind. Christ, the Redeemer, gives Machu Picchu the ceremonial unveiling on October 12, 1931. Was illuminated across the ocean when Guglielmo Marconi, speaking from Italy, activated the lighting of the statue by radio. A moment that felt almost miraculous. A spark of light traveling through the air, touching the outstretched hands of Christ high above Rio. Since then, the statue has endured storms, raging winds, and countless lightning strikes. In 2014, a bolt struck so fiercely that it broke off a fingertip, a reminder that even stone guardians are touched by the sky. Yet, she remains standing, quietly resilient. Christ, the Redeemer, isn't only a spiritual symbol, she is an engineering marvel. Her Art Deco form, smooth and streamlined, was shaped to resist winds up to 250 kilometers per hour, her body curved in harmony with the mountain's breath. In 2007, a powerful storm tore off pieces of soapstone tiles, but the monument held firm. In 2012, UNESCO recognized the surrounding landscape of Rio, mountains, forests, and sea, as a World Heritage Site, with the statue at its heart like a serene sentinel. Each year, over 2 million visitors arrive by funicular or by foot, climbing into clouds to see Rio from a breathtaking 360-degree panorama. The myths surrounding the statue are soft and full of wonder. Many Brazilians believe Christ watches over and protects the city. During Carnival, the monument glows with colors of the Brazilian flag. Some old stories tell of builders who, in moments of fear, saw angels hovering in the mist. The statue has shaped art and culture, from films like Rio, to songs and paintings, to countless replicas from Lisbon to Vietnam. Modern research keeps the monument alive. Restorations continue year after year. In the 2020s, engineers replaced tiles, strengthened lightning protection, and renewed the internal structure. In 2025, the statue once again became a center of world attention. In June, thousands of Catholics gathered at the foot of Christ the Redeemer for an environmental campaign, unrolling an eco-friendly carpet to call for urgent climate action before COP30 under the open sky. Chanting softly, they reminded the world that faith and ecology can walk hand in hand. In July 2025, rare photographs taken from the statue's shoulder by artist Ben Tuna revealed intimate details of the restorations and an astonishing view seen only by workers and birds. Drones and 3D scanning now quietly monitor cracks and weathering, allowing engineers to protect the monument from storms and time. Today, Christ the Redeemer stands illuminated on holidays, glowing in blues, greens, golds, a gentle beacon above Rio, a reminder of belief, unity, and hope. Her arms, forever open, embrace not only the city below, but the entire world. And now, as we close the story of the third wonder, we softly ascend toward the fourth. Machu Picchu the Lhasa now. Down east, we rise slowly into the Andes, to the southern part of Peru, where at 2,430 meters above sea level, hidden between drifting mists and emerald mounds, it is the fourth of the new 7 wonders of the world. Chosen by millions in 2007, a sacred, mysterious city where Inca stone and nature intertwine so seamlessly that the ruins seem to grow directly from the earth. Built in the 15th century under the great emperor Pachacati, Machu Picchu is a place where terraces, temples, and royal halls feel almost alive, as if carved by both human hands and the breath of the mountains. The city remained unknown to the world until 1911, when American explorer Hiram Bingham, searching for the lost city of Vilcabamba, instead stepped into this hidden jewel. Veiled in jungle vines and morning fog, The Inca, a civilization without writing and without the wheel, built an empire stretching from Colombia to Chile. Machu Picchu may have been a royal retreat, an astronomical observatory, or a sacred sanctuary for the Akla, the chosen women of the sun. Around 1,000 people once lived here. Agricultural terraces vean interacensis, born from mountain springs, supported crops of maize, potatoes, and coca in the harsh climate of the Andes. Machu Picchu covers about 5 square kilometers, divided into agricultural and urban sectors. The main entrance, the Sun Gate into Punku, offers a breathtaking view of the ruins at sunrise, when golden light touches every stone. On the central plaza stand sacred temples, the Temple of the Sun, with its semicircular Torreon Tower for rituals during Inti Raymi, the festival of the sun. The Temple of the Three Windows symbolizes the three Incan worlds, Hanan Pasha, the heavens, K Pasha, the living world, Aku Pasha, the underworld. The room of the Konda, its stone shaped like a great bird, may have served as an altar for offerings. Terraces, andines, hold the mountainsides together, using layers of gravel and sand for drainage and stability. Inca masons shaped multi-sided polyhedral stones, fitting them so perfectly that not even a blade of grass can slip between them, a masterpiece of seismic engineering. Astronomical features include the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun, a stone that cast precise shadows during solstices. The city was abandoned in the 16th century after the Spanish conquest, perhaps due to smallpox or internal struggles. For centuries it slept, wrapped in forest and silence, until Bingham rediscovered it in 1911 with the help of local guides. He uncovered mummies, ceramic vessels, and many sacred artifacts. Archaeological work began immediately. Yale expeditions collected thousands of objects later returned to Peru, at least partly. In 2011, UNESCO declared Machu Picchu a World Heritage Site. In 1983, and in 2007, the world voted it as one of the new 7 wonders. Today, about 80% of the site has been restored, but Machu Picchu suffers from erosion and tourism. Over 1.5 million visitors each year. The myths surrounding the city are almost mystical. The Inca believed it sacred, tied to the creator god Viracocha. Bingham thought it might be Tambotoko, the cradle of the Inca, or a sanctuary for the virgins of the sun. Modern theories propose an observatory, a fortress, or a ceremonial center. Legends of hidden treasures whisper through the stones of Chichen Itza. Some say the gold of the Maya still lies somewhere beneath the old pathways, tucked away in narrow tunnels, protected by the spirits of the ancient world. And in modern pop culture, from Don Brown-esque novels to the Tomb Raider games, this sacred city has become a symbol of every mysterious, lost place that humanity continues to search for in its dreams. Its influence can be felt everywhere, from traditional Peruvian-style homes to contemporary eco-projects inspired by ancient engineering. And even today, modern research continues to reveal new secrets. Chichen Itza is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with strict limits on the number of visitors, no more than 2,500 a day. In the 2000s, LiDAR technology was used to map hidden structures beneath the jungle floor. In 2023, archaeologists uncovered new terraces and ancient pathways. And in 2025, discoveries shook the world once again. In April of 2025, researchers revealed newly found ceremonial platforms and tombs along the Inca Trail dating back to the 15th century. These discoveries included artifacts such as pottery and finely woven textiles. Announced earlier in the year, the findings also included previously unknown sites near Machu Picchu altars, sacred caves, and rock paintings that shed light on the ancient rituals of the Maya and their neighbors. A study published by Peruwais confirmed that these platforms were used for astronomical observations, reshaping modern understanding of the site. Then, in July 2025, a team uncovered new burials containing 12 skeletons beneath structures reminiscent of Nabatean architecture found in Pitrayet, uniquely Maya. Among the graves were golden ornaments, beads, and tools preserved for centuries. Using drones and AI technology, scientists studied the terraces from above, revealing the hydraulic mastery of the Maya. Conservation projects in 2025 focused on protecting the site from the effects of climate change. Today, Chichén Itzá remains a powerful magnetic force for travelers from around the world. Hundreds of thousands arrive by bus, by car, or on foot, following ancient roads through the jungle. New regulations in 2025 further limited access to help preserve the sacred grounds. This place reminds us of the wisdom of the ancestors of a people who lived in harmony with the sun, the stars, and the earth. Chichén Itzá is a timeless city in the heart of the forest. Its pyramids are like stairways to forgotten skies. And even now, it gently whispers the secrets of the Maya to those who walk quietly among its stones. With this, we close the story of the fifth new wonder of the world, and slowly, softly move to the next. Legends speak of the cenotes, those crystal blue wells that the Maya believed were portals into Xibalba, the underworld gateways where spirits passed, where offerings sank into darkness, and where the veil between worlds grew thin. Treasures were indeed found there. In 1904, Edward Thompson discovered gold, jade, and ancient relics resting at the very bottom of the sacred cenote. And in modern culture, from Maya-inspired novels to the film Apocalypto Chichén Itzá has come to symbolize the mysteries of the Maya, including the misunderstood myth of the world ending in 2012. In truth, it was never a prophecy of destruction, only the gentle turning of a cosmic calendar. Its influence can be seen everywhere, in the pyramids of Mexico, in modern observatories aligned with the stars, in architecture shaped by ancient precision. And today, new secrets continue to rise from the shadows. Chichén Itzá is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with steady restoration of the pyramids. In the 2000s, LiDAR technology revealed pathways hidden under the jungle canopy. In 2023, researchers uncovered underground caves filled with offering ceramics, tools, and ritual objects untouched for centuries. Then came 2025, a year that transformed everything. In March 2025, archaeologists discovered a hidden tunnel beneath the Pyramid of Kukulkan containing ritual items dating back to the 10th century. And in July, a team from INAH uncovered new cenotes and ancient trails leading to unexplored ruins, complete with vivid frescoes and pottery that revealed long-distance trade networks between Maya cities. A study published in National Geographic confirmed that the altars decorated with jade offerings were reshaping modern understanding of Maya rituals and cosmology. In April of the same year, researchers found what they described as an underworld, a cave system beneath the city, filled with human remains and sacrificial offerings, likely dedicated to Chok, the god of rain. Using drones and AI, scientists studied the acoustics of the site, uncovering how the Great Pyramid produces a chirping echo one that sounds like the sacred Quetzal bird whenever someone claps at its base, a masterpiece of architecture and a masterpiece of sound. Today, Chichen Itza welcomes more than 2.5 million visitors each year, including many who gather for the breathtaking light show during the equinox, when the serpent made of shadows descends the pyramid. But new 2025 regulations now limit access to protect this fragile wonder. It reminds us of the Maya calendar, of cycles of time, and of humanity's ancient connection to the cosmos. Chichen Itza is a timeless calendar carved in stone. Its pyramids are stairways to the stars, still whispering the quiet prophecies of the Maya. With this, we softly close the chapter of the fifth new wonder of the world, and we gently move to the next, Tispigma, the one that once breathed color into ancient frescoes. It reveals something extraordinary, a quiet thread of trade that once stretched all the way to Egypt, a whisper of distant merchants carrying jars of color across deserts and seas. And then, in August, during subway excavations beneath Piazza, Venezia just steps away from the Colosseum, archaeologists uncovered something unexpected. Homes of the ordinary Romans, a multi-story complex of apartments and tiny shops dating back to the Republican era. These findings, announced on August 5th, opened a gentle window into everyday Roman life with mosaics, frescoes, and traces of routines preserved in stone and dust. In April, a gladiator's skeleton was found in England, marked with the unmistakable bite of a lion. And though that discovery was far away, related research in Rome began to analyze similar artifacts from the Colosseum itself. Using 3D scanning and AI, scientists have begun to reconstruct the hypogeum, the hidden underground machinery that once lifted animals, fighters, and entire sets into the roaring arena. Slowly, the mechanisms reveal themselves, gears of ancient spectacle turning again in silence. Today, the Colosseum remains a magnet for travelers, 7 million visitors each year, wandering its echoing corridors, some arriving after sunset for the soft glow of night tours. The restorations of 2025 focus on climate resilience, touching stone that has endured nearly 2,000 years of wind and rain. It reminds us of a world where life and death were not mysteries but entertainment, where the crowd's roar rose like a storm around the sand. The Colosseum, an eternal arena, still carries the faint echo of the masses in its walls, a symbol of the vast, unshakable power of Rome. And with this, we gently close the chapter of the sixth new wonder and drift softly toward the final one. Taj Mahal, the mausoleum of eternal love and living beauty now, dear listeners. Our journey carries us across continents to northern India, to the city of Agra, where along the quiet banks of the Yamuna River, the Taj Mahal glows like a dream carved from moonlight. It is the seventh and final of the new 7 wonders of the world. chosen by millions of voices in 2007, this ivory-white mausoleum, built between 1632 and 1653, was commissioned by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in memory of his beloved wife, Mumtaz Mahal, who died during the birth of their 14th child. The monument became the pinnacle of Islamic architecture in India, a symbol of unbroken devotion where symmetry gardens. And shimmering marble create the illusion of paradise brought gently to earth. In the 17th century, Agra was the capital of the Mughal Empire, a realm stretching from Afghanistan to Bengal, where Shah Jahan, grandson of Akbar the Great, presided over a golden age of art and trade. Taj Mahal, meaning crown of palaces, was built as a resting place for Mumtaz, but ultimately became Shah Jahan's own tomb as well. Their sarcophagi lying side by side in the dim, echoing chamber beneath the monument. The visible cenotaphs above are empty place there to shield the real tombs from desecration. The emperor spent the equivalent of 30 million rupees, roughly the entire annual budget of the empire, to bring this vision into the world. The Taj Mahalistan is with presbytery esquire plan, 55 meters on each side, a central dome rising 73 meters toward the sky, surrounded by four slender minarets, each 40 meters tall. The minarets lean outward ever so slightly, so that should an earthquake ever strike, they would collapse away from the mausoleum, not onto it. Fekadim's Krana marble with stone jasper, lapis lazuli, onyx set in the delicate Petra Jura technique, forming swirling floral designs and elegant calligraphy from the Quran. The Great Dome, inspired by Persian and Indian traditions, seems almost to float, an illusion created by its graceful curvature. The Shahbag Gardens, the four gardens, are divided by water, channels symbolizing the rivers of paradise, lined with cypress trees and fountains. When the water lies still, it mirrors the mausoleum perfectly, as though the Taj exists twice en son heure and once in reflection. The entrance gates of red sandstone rise like a portal to another world, covered with reliefs and calligraphy. Inside, the octagonal chamber glows softly, its marble scrignoli carved so delicately that light passes through like lace. Construction was overseen by the architects Ustad Ahmad Lahori and Ustad Isa, with 20,000 artisans from India, Persia, and Turkey. Calligraphers came from Baghdad, inlay masters from Bukhara. Marble was carried from Rajasthan by elephants, precious stones from Afghanistan and China. The Taj Mahal has endured centuries, but not without trials. After Mumtaz's death, Shah Jahan dreamed of a second mausoleum, a black Taj, mirroring the white, but he was overthrown by his son Aurangzeb and imprisoned in the Agra fort. From where he gazed at the monument until his death in 1666 in the 18th century. It was plundered by Jots and Marathas, its gold and gems stripped away. In the 19th century, British officers used its gardens as a picnic ground. Restoration began under Lord Curzon in the early 1900s, restoring its long-lost radiance. In the 20th century, pollution from Agros factories threatened the marble, turning it yellow, leading to the creation of a protected green zone around the site. UNESCO declared it a World Heritage Site in 1983. Legends swirl around the Taj Mahal, some romantic, some tragic. One story claims Shah Jahan cut off the hands of the artisans so they could never build anything like it again, but this is only a myth. Another speaks of the Black Taj Mahal, its ruins seen across the river, yet this, too, is an illusion or the remains of a garden. Some people believe they see Masonic patterns in the perfect symmetry of the Taj Mahal. Others imagine hidden Hindu symbols, suggesting it was once a reconstructed temple of Shiva, the Tijo Mahalaya theory, long dismissed by historians. Yet, like all legends, it lingers softly at the edges of imagination. The Taj Mahal inspired the poetry of Rabindranath Tagore, who called it a teardrop on the cheek of eternity. It has stirred music, art, cinema, from the sweeping melodies of Bollywood to quiet songs sung under moonlight. Its influence can be found in monuments across the world, from Grant's tomb in New York to delicate replicas in Bangladesh. Modern research and restoration continue to protect its beauty. Today, nearly 8 million visitors pass through its gates each year, bringing millions in revenue, yet also burdening the delicate marble with crowds, footsteps, whispers, and breath. Between 2018 and 2023, conservators performed a gentle cleansing ritual using Multani Meteor soft, natural clay to remove the yellowing caused by pollution, just as one might place a calming mask on tired skin. The Taj was given a soothing layer of clay, drawing out impurities and revealing its pale glow once again. In 2025, new discoveries and restorations continued. In June, the Archaeological Survey of India detected water leakage near the summit of the Great Dome, 73 meters above the ground, using thermal scanning technology. The finding, announced on June 27th, revealed a precise point of seepage, calling for urgent restoration to protect the structure. Drones, lasers, and master artisans worked together to intervene as gently as possible. By July, regular restoration of the dome and roof was ongoing, quiet. Careful work meant to preserve its timeless beauty, with soft warnings to tourists about temporary limitations. Earlier that year, a government report revealed that the Taj Mahal had earned 297 crore rupees in 5 years, making it India's most profitable monument, a financial lifeline for its preservation. Using advanced 3D scanning and artificial intelligence, scientists are now able to model erosion, studying how the marble changes color at sunrise and sunset, shifting from tender pink to warm gold, like a living canvas breathing with the sky. Projects in 2025 also include environmental efforts. Tree planting around the site to purify the air and protect the monument from pollution. Today, the Taj Mahal rests under UNESCO protection, with rules restricting photography and footwear inside, bathed softly in moonlight during full moon nights. Visitors arrive before dawn just to see the mist gliding over the Yamuna River, a scene that cloaks the mausoleum in a dreamlike aura. It stands as a reminder of love that transcended time and of beauty that, no matter how eternal it seems, remains fragile. The Taj Mahal is a timeless monument to love. Its white domes shimmering like pearls in the crown of India, whispering softly the story of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz. With this, we gently conclude the tale of the seventh and final new wonder. Conclusion. And now, dear listeners, our long journey through the 7 wonders of the ancient world and the 7 new wonders of our modern age slowly reaches its peaceful end. We have walked through millennia from the sands of Giza, where the Great Pyramid of Khufu stands as a silent guardian of time. Through the legendary hanging gardens of Babylon, whose terraced beauty drifts between myth and memory, all the way to the glowing marble of the Taj Mahal, where the love of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal still lingers like a soft echo in the air. Each wonder is more than stone or bronze or marble. Each one is a heartbeat of human genius, faith, imagination, and the eternal desire to leave a mark upon time. These monuments, from the ruins of the Colosseum, where the faint echo of gladiators still hums beneath the arches, to the rose-red cliffs of Petra, guarding the forgotten secrets of the Nabateans, remind us of both the fragility and the greatness of civilizations. They teach us that even the things that seem eternal can fade and crumble, but the dreams that shape them live on inside our imagination. So tonight, let these stories cradle you gently, guiding you into dreams where pyramids shimmer beneath starlight and ancient lighthouses glow softly across darkened seas. Good night, my dear friends. May your sleep be peaceful, and may your dreams be filled with wonders.